Hey everyone, Peter here, back for another campaign diary. This one should be fairly short. This one will be just about one of those little side mini quests that happened. Once again, I can say that I had invited the whole party and slowly everyone kind of dropped off. Now, when they originally all RSVP'd, I was expecting about 4 or 5 out of the 7 that we had. Unfortunately, the last 2-3 dropped off until all I was left was Brayden and Danny. And this one, I called, hunting trolls. And basically what it was is I was looking at who I had. I said, okay, I've got Brayden coming, I've got Danny coming. Now, Brayden's definitely a combat guy. Danny's not, he's not as powerful as Brayden, but he has his moments. And when he is, he destroys the world. But he doesn't mind combat. So I was like, you know what? I had an idea. And what I simply did is I simply said, okay, you guys come up. And the captain of the guard approaches you. And he's got a small assignment for you guys. He's like, you guys know. And he's like, my soldiers are busy either patrolling the city or out fighting at war. I see you guys aren't doing up too much. Would you guys mind taking out this troll? And he explained that one of the paths, on one of the roads leading away from Renovas, there's a bridge. And there's a troll kind of guarding it, if you will. He's kind of ransacking caravans and people who cross it. Mostly merchants with not a lot of guards, single farmers kind of crossing the way. And they're like, oh sure, we don't mind taking out a troll. So they hopped on some horses and kind of took off. And this was a fairly straightforward, fairly easy quest, if you will. And I think it really worked because Brayden enjoys kind of the straightforward, roll some dice, kill some orcs. Or trolls in this case, and Danny isn't much better. He just wants to have fun. So I had him, at one point they had to, ask directions, so they stopped by a farmer. And the farmer, I played a little bit to shake things up. I had the farmer being not quite so go along with everything. The farmer was going to be just a little bit kind of what's in it for me, and also was a little antagonistic of them because all you soldiers do is just destroy everything. You burn my crops, you steal my crops, you eat my crops, and all you do is just pester and harass me. And Brayden, playing kind of his half-orc character Scavis, was like, excuse me, no, you don't get to talk to me like that. And had a little bit of threatening this guy, and I think if Danny had not stepped in, Brayden was going to kill the guy and set his whole farm on fire. Fortunately, Danny was able to talk him down with a little bit of Danny's high charisma. But after that, Brayden said, all right. I'm going to intimidate. He's like, I'm going to intimidate the farmer into telling us where he is. And sure enough, he rolled a high intimidation. One of the things that he has, because he's got his black dragon gauntlet arm, is said, okay, you have a +1 to intimidation checks because that's a pretty terrifying thing. So he rolls, and so now he's really intimidating. And the guy's like, I'm so sorry. And bridge is that way. It's the next bridge over. You can't miss it. And sure enough, the Brayden's like, oh, thank you, punk, and just walks off. And Danny's like, I'm so sorry for your troubles, and just follows. And sure enough, they find the bridge, and they get on the bridge, and they're like, okay, no troll. And they're like, I'm gonna go check underneath. And they just go check underneath the bridge, and sure enough, there's a troll down there. And he, managed to just shove past them. And at which point I said, okay, roll initiative. And again, this was fairly straightforward. And I'll just say, he shoves past them. He gets onto the bridge, and he starts running before he gets cornered between Brayden and Danny. And they kind of come on either side. And they fight, and they get the troll down. And now, fortunately, Danny really enjoys fire, which is good because trolls regenerate unless they've been hit with fire damage. So while Brayden's coming in it with Executioner, Brayden's blasting with fire bolts and fire chromatic orbs and such, whittled it down, and it was almost dead. And it finally comes down to Brayden's turn. He's like, all right, I'm taking it, I'm killing it. And I explained, I was like, this, if basically it can only survive one more hit, and Brayden's like, all right, this is mine. He was like, I roll crit fail, and you can see Danny go just a little oh crap, because Danny's also been taking a lot of damage from the troll. Because what I do is when my players roll a crit fail, I say, okay, roll me a d4. Because I'm like, there are a number of things that could happen. I say, if you roll a 1, you lose the weapon. The weapon slips out of your hands. If you roll a 2 on the d4, the weapon breaks. Now, in some cases, I usually, for instance, in the case of Executioner, or I have a friend who's enchanted, got a weapon enchanted, so it's basically unbreaking, so this doesn't affect it. And I said, okay, in which case you would re-roll. If you roll 3 on the d4, what I said is you hurt others. So you hurt basically whoever's closest to you. Who's the closest ally to you? I kind of mess with this sometimes. Like if you're standing next to an enemy and all your buddies are like 20 feet away, I'd probably say, okay, re-roll. And number 4, of course, is then her itself. And Danny's like, oh shoot, with Brayden's Executioner, how powerful it is, because again, it automatically does 10 damage plus Brayden's strength, so it automatically does like 14 damage. Danny's like, shoot, I've got like 8 health. If Brayden rolls a 3, I'm dead. Fortunately, so I kind of got really tense, and Brayden's like, roll. Oh, hurt self. Okay, and of course he rolls like damage, and I say, okay, you'll take half damage. When you hurt self, I usually say take half damage. And sure enough, Brayden rolls. He rolls like decently, so he took like 8-10 damage. I mean, a pretty good chunk, but not as bad as it could have been. In which case, Danny's like, whew. I was like, by the way, it's the troll's turn. He's like, dang it. So I had the troll attack Danny and almost got Danny. Got him down to like 2 hit points, and now he's like freaking out. I was like, fine, it's my turn. I chromatic orb this guy and I blow his head off, and that's basically what he did. And so they taken care of the troll and kind of happily ever after. Which it more or less was. I mean, after that, I was like, okay, sure enough, you guys go back. That's how that went. Pretty straightforward. They got some experience, and they enjoyed themselves. And again, this is what it comes back to what I've been saying, where it's good to have these little mini modules that you can just run at a moment's notice if you only have 2 or 3 guys. That way you don't have to cancel on them, but you also don't, like, progress the story along. Now, again, it doesn't always work well. Sometimes if you're really, like, the party's in the middle of diving a dungeon, you might just have to say, sorry guys, I can't. Or you then say, okay guys, let's run a one-shot or something like that. I mean, there's a number of ways to solve the issue, but it worked out well, and the guys enjoyed it. And it doesn't get talked about much. The Rats and Ransom and the No Post on Sunday, of course, are the most famous of them. This one just kind of happened, and I think that's probably because it was not super memorable, but I don't think not every quest, not every campaign, not every session needs to be incredibly memorable. Otherwise, it would all be memorable, and if everything is memorable, nothing is. So that's this campaign diary. It was short, it's kind of brief, kind of nice actually to do a short one. Thank you guys for watching. We'll have the next one up next week. In the meantime, stay cool.